Good evening. Good evening. It is Sunday, November 22nd, 2020. Um, it is Alpha Traders weekly review and weekly look ahead. Uh, First off, want to always say thanks to all our members. You guys are growing fast and you guys are doing a great job keeping up and asking questions and learning, and totally excited for this upcoming week and um, what should be a pretty good week for us. For everybody that's listening on YouTube, welcome. You guys can find out more info at www.alphatraders.com. You submit your email on the first screen. Second screen, you scroll down and you can sign up straight through the trade labs, and you guys can try your free 3-day trial. Don't think you'll be disappointed. Every single person that has tried our 3-day trial has not canceled, and there's a reason for that. For you, those of you that don't know, we are a newer service. We've only been out maybe a short time, but our results have been blessed. We've had such great plays, especially the last 2 weeks, the last 3 weeks really, but the last 2 weeks have been absolutely epic. They have been life-changing for some of the members. And one of the rules I always say is you always take profit if it changes your life. And a lot of people did. And I think they were upset they left some money on the table, but it didn't matter, because if it changes your life, if you're able to, if you have credit card debt and this helps you pay that off, or you're back on bills just from COVID, or whatever that is, and trading is your thing and you've been struggling, or even if you haven't and you don't have those issues and you're a great trader, I think what we do helps really push you guys to the next level. So there's been some life-changing money for a lot of people, and we've been so blessed to be able to find some really good plays and really have a good feel for the market right now. And it kind of feels like we're 10 to 12 points before the masses roll in. And for example, on Zoom last week, you guys see it up on the screen here. This is these are all our plays from last week. But Zoom, I called Zoom at 402. Actually, it was before that. It was actually 393, and we actually I wanted to see it break 400 and hold 400, which it did. And from that point on, I knew personally that we were going to make so much money on Zoom, and we did. We absolutely nailed Zoom. And just as an example of that, we just saw the market so well, and it flowed so well. And you got to hold, and you got to be able to, play your account and expect zero, expect everything to go to zero. And that's for everybody that's new, that's listening to this, that you're thinking about joining and whatnot. One of the golden rules I learned is that everything can go to zero in an instant, and you should expect zero. And you only can play what you can lose. And a lot of people say that, but what they don't tell you is you have to expect the zero out of that. So if you lose sleep losing $100 on a play, that's your risk tolerance. If you have a $400 account and you lose sleep over $100 option that you have, that's your risk tolerance. You have to know that you have to play less. You have to play smaller. You have to play less. If you have a $400,000 account and you get mad over $1,000, that's your risk tolerance. So it's understanding yourself, but also understanding that sometimes you need to put your foot on the gas. Sometimes you need to press, and sometimes you need to take it off, pump the brakes, and come back. And I think that's one of the strengths of our services. We're able to kind of guide you through that. And it's not a gimmick. There's nothing. Results are here. These are not made up. Everybody that was in the room can see them all the time, and we're playing these. I'm playing these, and I had a hell of a week personally. It was unbelievable. 2 back-to-back weeks, and it was an absolutely blessed 2 weeks, 3 weeks really. The week before was really good, not as good as the last two, but it was still a great week, and we've been absolutely blessed to be able to share this with everybody. So we appreciate you guys, and let's get started here. So want to kind of recap everything. These are our plays from last week. I'll make sure we get everybody here. It was a crazy, crazy week. So um, everybody's allotment is different. I buy a different amount of contracts than say a new person in our room, or someone else that maybe just doesn't have the size account that I have, or maybe they have more and they buy more than me. There's so many variables. So what I like to do is look at um, our weekly moves, and I literally just say if you bought one contract per signal, because at least it gives us a baseline of where we went. And as you can see, it was an unbelievable week. If in essence you said every play that we played that you were able to play, you bought for zero. I'm sorry, you bought one contract, you would have made $5,000 this week. If you just bought one of everything, you would have spent $7,300. I'm sorry, you would have spent you would have spent 73, almost $7,400 to make $12,456. I think we calculated 58.33%. That's pretty good for a week. I think that's an amazing week. Are there some places that probably made more than us? Sure. I don't know of them, but possibly. There might be one or two out there that might have made some more than us, which is fine. But I'm going to tell you right now, that's upper echelon movement right there. 58% on the amount of money that we moved as well. So it wasn't like we just played 5 plays throughout the week and we crossed our fingers and said, hey, if we hit it, we're going to celebrate. Each one of these had a plan, there was a thesis, and there was an execution of that plan. Not every trade hits. You have to understand that. But what you do have to understand is that net is the only thing that matters. How much do you net? If you played, we'll call it the Zoom 420 call that expired on November 20th, and it was $7.50. Let's just say you bought 5 of those, right? And then let's say you bought the Google 1830, but you only bought 2 of those. And you bought the Apple calls, you only bought 10 of those. Your net is through the roof. It's not even close. You went 1 for 2. You bet, in baseball terms, you betted 333, and you came up huge because you decided to buy 10 Zooms using the information we gave you. You spent $7.50, which is $750. You spent $7,500 on Zoom, and you absolutely demolished Zoom, demolished it. So, you'd have made, we'll call it $5,550 on the Zoom 420s. And you would have lost what? I'm doing math in my head here. $1,800, and then you'd have lost $890. So you would have netted what, roughly $2,500. I'm just off the top of my head. I don't have a calculator. I'm not a math whiz, but you can kind of see what matters. Net is what matters. So let's just go into some of these plays. At the beginning of the week, MasterCard and Win. Those were great buys. We bought those if you guys remember in the last conference call last week, I told you there was a lot of COVID buying. Somebody knew something because the way that the market was working, premiums were telling us a story, price action was telling us a story. And then I'm not the biggest chart guy. I will not sit here and tell you I'm a chart tactician and I'm looking at all these moving average. I don't do that. That's not, I use them as a source. I use them as some information. It gives me a visual. I also have these beautiful green Ichi clouds. I found out about this guy named Ripster. Had no idea who he was. They put some clouds on Trent Spider, and this Ripster guy, very smart guy. I did some research on him. Extremely smart. Seems like a great guy. I would hang out with this guy 100%. But they put his Ichi clouds on there. It makes it very aesthetically pleasing. I actually like just posting the chart because of the waves that come along with it. So But I really do the charts just for you guys, just so you have an idea of what I'm looking at. It's not just me, you know, like the horn. So, anyways, MasterCard and Win. Those were vaccine plays, and they played out beautifully. Not as great as I thought they were. I'll be honest with you. I thought we were going to get a bit more pop in MasterCard. I thought we were going to get more in Win. Win eventually towards the end of the week gave us some run on that, which was nice. We lost on some 100 calls that we had kept, but we had sold the rest. So we had actually sold a lot of those win calls. I think it was like $1.20-ish, but we had a portion of them that we were just letting it roll. We got back to about, I think 40-50% on Friday when it shot up to 99.20 or 99.10 maybe. And I didn't feel, I was kind of like, we already rode it this far. I want to see where it goes. So that was, unfortunately, you know, it would have been around probably $1.20, $1.15 profit. But again, it was 37 bucks is not bad. That's not a bad thing to look at. But winner. And then AMD looked really good beginning of the week. I think that was one of the ones I went over last week. Jumped right into it per the plan. Plan worked out great. I would have liked to see AMD push a little more. I thought with NVIDIA earnings, we were going to see a lot more in that sector, AMD being the number 2, NVIDIA being the number 1. Usually, more times than not, the second best in a sector follows the leader's lead especially when you run up into earnings. Thing is, NVIDIA never ran up into earnings, and AMD did pump for about Monday, Tuesday. We definitely made some money on it, but it wasn't as much as I was hoping for. I was really hoping for 200-300% out of these. I thought AMD could get to 87, 88. Unfortunately, it didn't. We still made profit, which is great. That nobody can take our money away from us. Etsy was one of the biggest plays of the week. It was also one of the hardest, along with SC and LRCX. Etsy, it looked good, great. It looked great early in the week. We bought it. We were up. I was saying there's a whole week. I want to see where this price action goes, and then then it tanked. It tanked Monday, Tuesday. I'm sorry, Tuesday, Wednesday. Absolutely, just it fell apart. Just as the market was coming back into its range, and we probably could have found a better place to buy it. But it's almost sometimes where you're at and you say, we need to just be in it just so we monitor it. You got to be involved. You got to be engaged. Anyways, others would have cut their losses when Etsy was probably minus 30, 40, 50%. I forget exactly what the peak was on it. Sitting there, it was negative. It didn't look good. I remember people were talking about it on FinTwit. Charter, this chart looks bad. Well, it looks okay, but the market's bad. Whatever. The charts they are what they are, right? But all the action was telling me was that it was coming. But we had to be strong, and we had to live by our rule of we let things go to zero. We have to be comfortable with riding it out all the way, letting it go to zero. You have to be comfortable with losing. I had chalked Etsy up to a loss. I think I even said it in chat on Wednesday. I'm like, you know, it doesn't look great for Etsy, but you know what? Our rules stand, and we have our own set of rules, and we stick to them. And heck, that thing ran Thursday, and especially on Friday. It ran so hard. You can see how much it did for us. Almost a 4x on Etsy. That's why we stick to our principles. That's why we think everything that we buy can go to zero overnight and it can never come back, but we're comfortable with losing it. We're comfortable because that play doesn't happen. And I'm not saying, and by the way, I'm not saying anybody else is wrong for playing it that way where they were to cut their losses and moved on, and they may have re-entered, which is great. But for us, we didn't lose any money. We didn't have to work extra hard for another position. But what we did, we were patient. We let our options play out. We let our premiums play out. We let the market tell us what is happening next. And that's how you get rewarded. You do lose sometimes, there's no doubt. But that's what happens when you're patient. There's more examples of that. Neo, I will take the blame for this. What we should have done It got all the way up to 4 something. We should have cashed it out there. It wasn't that I was being greedy. I think it was just that when we took half out, we took half the profits out at 320 or 330. It was somewhere there. I have to look at my notes. I think it was, I want to say it was 320. It was kind of like there was just up and down action, up and down action. I was saying, you know what, let's just take half of it. Let's retain some of our money and we'll let the rest ride. Well, the rest got up to about 410 and I still let it ride. And that was just a miscue on my part because at that point I was managing so many other positions that I actually missed it. And I take full responsibility for anybody that lost money on Neo. I don't think many people did because I think they managed their risk and they understood that this is going to be worthless at the end of the week. Google, huge disappointment, huge disappointment. One thing I did tell our group was to play small on Google, and not because I don't think it's great. It's just that it needed to run and it never run. It just stayed flat, and that's okay. But we didn't play it big, and I think that's the biggest thing is when you make these plays, you can't be doing the same amount every time. I always alert to our people, play small. Play it small here. Play it small here. I'm gonna add here and here. I'm letting them know that there's a weight that goes with it. Apple. I just wanted to see it run, wanted to see if the play was there. And it wasn't. And again, I think I had 10 contracts. I told the room, don't load the boat, take a few. This is not something we're trying to get rich off of, but it could be a very nice 30-40% play with at a very cheap rate. And especially with some of the smaller accounts that we have, I want to make sure that we're being exposed to smaller strike price or cost bases because it's important that those guys don't think that we're just playing Tesla and Shopify all the time and they have to put out $600 where they may not feel comfortable putting $600 out for anything because they have a $2,000 account, which I totally understand. So I always try to make sure that we have affordable plays, and there always are. The market always gives us opportunities. MasterCard. It was a semi roll up from the one before. I'd let MasterCard fall. I thought we might get a push. We didn't. I actually cut it because one of the rules I have, again, I know I'm telling you expect zero, but the caveat to that is if the stock is acting different or weird or off and the numbers aren't lining up with the thesis that's going on, you have to get rid of it because there's no point. If you already, I knew MasterCard was going to zero. I knew it was. That did not finish out well for us. I knew it was going to zero. I could have told you the moment that I saw the change that MasterCard was going to zero, and that ultimately did. And it saved some, but it takes precision. It takes, years of looking at things and understanding it. But that was one of the few times I said, I'm cutting this. That you can keep it if you want, but it's acting different. It's acting, there's something going on with it that's telling me that it's going down, not up. And when I have the definitive answer for that, I understand you're dumb not to take your money and run when you know the answer. I already knew the answer. Now, for example, on Apple and Google and what else did we lose on? Neo, I didn't know. I personally didn't know. I felt like there was a chance on those. Did I feel it was a little bit of a reach? Yeah, that's why I said play small. But there was never any indication. On Google, for example, there was never any indication that the 1830s couldn't happen because it never fell. But it also never went up. So there's a fine line in there of that. Then we had our hedge here. It was a spider put. I'm not a big SPY guy. I don't like playing SPYs, but sometimes it's super easy to. I saw this thing coming a mile away, and it was an easy. I mean, you guys can see we made $1.18. It was an absolutely easy put for me. Sometimes it's easier to short the SPYs than it is a certain stock. So a lot of times I'll short the sector instead of the individual name. It's just a lot easier for me sometimes. I see things more clearly when it comes to the sectors on the short side. I don't know why I can't answer that. But that's a nice 60% play. Let's see here. Tesla. I called this out. I'm not going to say I am some genius who did this, but I know what I saw, and I wasn't scared to put myself out there. I wanted to make sure that with it being a newer service, that we're not scared to take criticism, and we're not scared to put ourselves out there into the world that they have no buy-in, and they're gonna try to tear us apart from the sense that they're trying to see it from their perspective, which is fine. But I put out there, the leaps that we bought. But what I didn't put out were our lottos, and I knew these lottos were going. As soon, if you guys understand that, if you're watching this for the first time, you have to understand there's a lot of times you can see through the lines. This is one of those I wanted everybody to see through the lines on. I got a lot of pushback on, in the public space about it, and I wasn't phased because I know what I saw, and I know what I was being told by the market, and I understand what premiums were telling me. I understood what the news was. I understood what where the price action was going. It was all telling me the same thing, and I'm going to continue to stick by that. I have not sold one of my Tesla leaps. For those that follow us on Twitter and whatnot, I have not sold one because I don't plan to, because I plan on hitting a home run with those. Those are home runs that I think are going to be big ones. Anyway, so our 475 call, that was the first one. And I said, it was acting different. It was really weird. It was kind of jumping back and forth. It was 444 to 450, back to 442, back up to 450. And it was, there was this tug and pull. And in hindsight, I could have been better in the sense that I should have known that was institutional pulling. They were suppressing, trying to get a better buy-in. But the problem was there was so much demand from so many places. They couldn't keep it in that area long enough. And it kept bounce until it finally exploded because everybody all at once saw that action coming in. Interesting though, a lot of FinTwit people didn't catch it till 460. I think I said it in the room. After this went up, this one, I said, I'm sticking with Tesla. The only reason I'm cutting this is because it's acting super weird, and there's no reason for us to sit here and be in the chop and be in the weird. So we're going to re-enter once I see the numbers turn around in our favor. And immediately as I did that, we went into that 455 call. I think we got in at 446. I saw it immediately. The market makers really they were scared and they were trying to suppress it, and they couldn't do it. And I saw it. I saw what they were trying to do in the premiums, and we jumped on it. We absolutely jumped on it. We jumped on the 440. I'm sorry, on the 455s. And as you can see, we flew with them throughout the week. We sold a third at 39. We sold a third at 34. And we sold a third at 40. I want to say 47.50, 47.25, somewhere in there. We were flying on this. And we were blessed to get this one. I wish we would have stayed in the 475s because those ended up being like $22 or something like that. Maybe I'm sorry, $32. By the time we would have been ready to sell them, I think ultimately got to like 50 or something, maybe 55. But we saw this and we made a killing on. What a great play! What a great play! We also went into the 500 calls, and you guys can see that's a 7x. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely great plays by everybody that got in. Amazing. We did the AMD roll-up. After we sold out of AMD, I wanted to be a little bit exposed. We played AMD roll-up small. A roll-up, for anybody that's watching, a roll-up is when you take profits from a previous trade and you roll up into the next tier or the next play in that share. So we rolled up. Wasn't successful. We played it small. We played with profits. We didn't really lose anything because of the AMD trades above. Square, another just absolute home run. First, it was the 185s earlier in the week. I think it got to 189, and then it got down to 188, and we sold, and we were like, that's a nice solid double. We'll take 100%. We'll go on our way, which was great. And then we rolled up. I rolled up into the 195s, and we slaughtered those as well. I'm actually more upset because we actually sold the square too early. If we would have held to 200, those ended up being about $9. But you take what you can get, because you can see down at the bottom, we rolled up into the 200s and we still made money. Probably could have sold it sooner. Didn't. I probably left about $40 on the table for that one. I don't like leaving money on the table, but you can't do everything right. So we had a 360 put. Again, just a hedge. It rolled down just like I thought it would. Made a nice little chunk of change just being able to go down. It's kind of, when you do these puts, I'm not trying to get rich. I'm just trying to pay for the positions I already have. SE, absolute roller coaster. We bought this. It went immediately down. It was down 80%. I think it was 50 cents. And by the end of the week, it was a double. And how grateful are we? SE is the best, maybe the best company, in my opinion, in the stock market. Absolutely great company, and it's one of those you can rely on. It dips and then it rips extremely hard, and then it dips and then it rips extremely hard. And we caught it, and we did a really good job with it. Really proud of the people that held through. That's a tough hold. That is tough to do. LRCX, another one. Totally, I'm taking the blame for this. We left 50% on the table. It got up to 50%. It ripped Friday morning, and I wanted to see it rip a little more, and I got greedy and I let it go, and it expired worthless. We were up 50% on it. Should have got 6. We didn't, and I hate leaving money on the table like that. Tesla, we went through. Amazon failed for us. We played small again because you kind of have to be in Amazon sometimes when it's acting like it was, not now, but what it was. And that 3250 was, I believe, was a Friday lotto. I might have got into it on Thursday. I can't exactly remember. We did lose on it. I think I bought 10 contracts. It was very cheap. We weren't trying to, again, break the world, but we need to be exposed to FANG in some way, shape, or form at all times because FANG is so strong it can go at any point. Our next, I mean, there's a banger after banger here, and I was, we were exploding in chat. Zoom was next to Tesla it was just amazing what happened. We got into Zoom 430s. We got into it on Thursday, saw the change, knew it was coming. Got into the 430s. I think Zoom was at 411 when we got in. Got into the 430s, absolutely dominated the 430s. It dropped on Friday morning. We went into the 420s. We added to the 430s. And it just ran. As you can see where that was. I'm upset at myself on the 420s. We left probably another $650 on the board. That's my fault. I'll take that one, but still, I'll take almost a double any time of the week. The others, the 430s, they were absolutely home run. Once we covered some of the 420s, we rolled up into the 450s, just a YOLO, played small. Like I told everybody, roll-ups, you play small, you play with profits, and then you move. Unfortunately, I only bought 10 of those. I'm not going to lie. I only bought 10 personally, whereas I bought 50 of the 420s and 60 of the 430s. I only bought 10 of the 450s because the probability was so low that it would succeed. But it's worth playing because if it does explode, man, turn that into a 10-bagger, just like that. Square we went over. Then the last one was Netflix. A very, very interesting trade. Netflix was, if you remember in chat, it happened just like that. All of a sudden, the candle came, I don't know, about 1:30 or so. Maybe it was 1 o'clock. And that candle came and boom, it started going and we hopped on. I saw the candle. I got my alert. Volume was coming in. I'm not sure where it came from. I've been doing research. I still don't see it. It might just been an algo thing, but we went into the 500s at 25. Literally within 3 minutes, sold them at 48. Almost 100%, 90% trade in 3 minutes. How great was that? It came back a little bit and then it bounced again. And, I said, what? I'm going to play with some of the profits here. We rolled up, same calls again, but we doubled the price at it, playing with just straight profits. We did not play with our original premium, and I kept some profit for myself, and that one failed. So, roller coaster week. Amazing week. Amazing. All right, so let's go into the charts here. We will cut that off. All right. Alphabetical order for everybody. All right, Amazon. So you see all this right here. This is a big kerbudgeal. Amazon looks a lot like Google to me in this sense. I mean, you just have this absolute just chop job. This is chop, 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 chop. You see, it's like lower highs, but it has higher lows. It has all, for all you charter people, it has all the VWAPs and everything above it. It's got a volume shelf. It's got a lot of supply up here. Honestly, for charting, I actually really love this volume shelf. TrendSpider is really, really good in this. I love this volume shelf that they have, and so volume shelves are actually very, very good to use, in my opinion. So you see this kerbudgeal. We have one of our guys. He's Canadian. He can't trade options. He uses an international exchange. He just buys stock with leverage, and I actually have him in some Amazon right now. But we're going to let it play out, and we're going to see where it goes. Baba. I can't believe I'm saying this. I love Bobby. He was on my do not trade list for the last, I don't know. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 week, 2.5 weeks. It's been on my no trade list. It finally came off when it reclaimed this level here. I think it was down here. One of our master traders, his name's Mercury. He called this one out. Absolutely killed it. We're probably going to play the options here. We'll see what the premiums are in the morning on Monday, but this gap fills very enticing. Gaps were made to be filled, and this gap is enticing to me. The strategy that we're going to use, and this, I'm giving you free alpha here, by the way, is play the gap, and then it gets rejected. You sell at the gap. This will probably be Tuesday morning. You sell at the gap, come back down, wait, let it do its thing. Most of the time, these things will come right back, test that gap, and push through. So that'll be our plan next week. Netflix. A lot of you charters, not me, but charters, I was pointed out that this is a W bottom. W bottoms are kind of like what Zoom did. And this looks like it has a nice little leg up to this gap. So this could be a nice play this week. Or, I shouldn't say this week with Thanksgiving coming up in the U.S. and all of that. But, we have 2.5 days of trading, and then it resets on Monday. So interesting to see this one play out. I expect something at least to get to 507. That's why I put that level in there. Peloton. Mad at myself. I had it here. I should have alerted it, and I didn't because I was focused on Zoom, and I missed 100 or 200, 300% move. Totally my fault. Right up to the gap, sitting in the gap. We'll see what happens with it. If it starts filling the gap, it's good to go. If it gets rejected, you're going to have to let it play out a couple of days before it goes again. PayPal. Small play. May not play it because premiums are high and there's only this little bit of juice in it. If it gets through the gap, it sees all-time highs around 205. Very similar to Square. It's been chop, 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 chop. I would love to see Amazon, which if you notice has a very similar pattern here. I would love for this to pop up. So I think PayPal does at 192 right now. If you can get in 192-ish, maybe you can get the 197 50s with the two. I would probably go for the 200s. We'll see how that works out. Shop runner. We are in next week's Shop 1050s. I'm giving you guys free plays here. This is not, I don't do this all the time. Shop has another 30, 40 point day in it. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Tuesday. I'm not sure what day, but this supply is going to be a little tough. You got this supply here above it. Right at, what is that? 120, 122, 1024. So that's going to be a little tough. This 1024 to 1050. It's going to be a tough area. So we're playing shop small, and we're going to play it through here, and we're going to see how it goes. It may fail. It may. Snap. One of my favorites. Again, you guys call this W bottoms. I'm being taught these things. I'm not a shark guy. Notice this big gap below. One day it will get filled, but that day is not today. I expect all-time highs. I expect it to hang around all-time highs. So I would not be surprised if this pops to all-time highs tomorrow, breaks it, comes back, and it consolidates or falls back to the breakout point, which is 42.22, and then pops again. Snap looks really good. We'll find a place to play it. Square, just beautiful. We're in the square calls 220s. I expect Square to break this and go. I do not. I it's going to be very hard for me if this gets harshly rejected. Maybe it's going to be a buy at 186 if it gets there. I don't think it does, but if it does and it gets to 186 in a few days, you can bet you I will be buying. Tesla, basic. There is no turning back. Don't be silly and short. If you are trying to short this, you are dumb. I'm sorry to say it. I'm not. I try not to be critical of people and their beliefs and what they do, but you're dumb. This and this flag, look at how well it's respecting the bottom. This is your bottom, 489. This is your new line right here. 489 is your new line. If it ever dips down here, it is a gift. It is a gift for you to get it 465. It will not go below 465. I'm actually half tempted to tell you it'll never go to 489 for a long time, for a very long time. So we're going to be playing the 510s. We'll play the 520s. We'll see how that goes. Want to play a little tighter at the vest with the holiday, but we're going to make a lot of money on Tesla this week. Last but not least, our good friend Zoom. Hello, Gap Phil, my old friend. That gap is a 50-point gap that is asking to be filled. Zoom started to fill it, got rejected, pulled back off that 445 mark. Not worried at all. It's consolidating under the gap. It is going to go this week. I will tell you right now, we are in calls already for next week. We are going to add to those calls. It is going to fly 500. It might 470. I'm telling you 470 right now. It might go 500. It has the chance to go 500. Not saying it will, saying it can. So there you go for this week. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit and you guys saw some of our results. They're not doctored. They're not anything. They're for all to see. We're more than happy to answer any questions. You can DM us at our Twitter at Alpha Traders Inc. You can check out the website, www.alphatraders.com. You can send us a DM, whatever you guys want to do. It's fine with us. Happy to hear from you. We try to answer everybody, good, bad, ugly. And good luck this week. Hopefully we'll see you in chat.